morning from Bali. We are about to take off on a day trip to Nusa Penida Island to see the famous Kelingking Beach. To get there, we first need to take a car to the port, then we need to take a fast boat from the port to Nusa Penida Island. Then we have a driver for the day to take us all around Nusa Penida. And the big question is this going to be worth all the effort? Let's go find out.
The water is so blue. What you got there?
The yummiest popsicle I ever had in my life.
If you're new to the channel, hi, we're Jay and Nina, an adventure travel couple based out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
And welcome back to our Indonesia video series. If you missed last week's video, we were just in Nusa Dua checking out some of the best beaches and resorts in the area.
For today's adventure, we start at 6:30 a.m. when our driver picked us up from our hotel in Nusa Dua to take us for an hour drive to Sanwar Port. Traffic can get really bad even when taking the toll road, so make sure to leave early.
All right, we made it to the Sanwar Port. There are definitely a lot of tourists around. I think we are all gonna be here together. We're all gonna be at Kelingking Beach together. We have about 40 minutes till our boat leaves, so we're just kind of walking around. They do have some coffee shops, some bathrooms, little gift shops in the area, which is kind of nice while you're waiting.
Now we are following a little tour guide. He's got a little flag with the company name up top, and they gave all of us different lanyards with different color badges, probably to signify which boat and which boarding time we have, which definitely helps with the language barrier. We made it. We made it.
So to get on the boat, we had to scan the little QR codes on our tickets, and then they took our lanyards and we hopped on the boat. Our tickets do have seat numbers, but it sounds like they don't matter. First impressions of the boat, the seats are comfier and nicer than I expected them to be, but if this boat is full, we are gonna be in here like little sardines. I did try to get a window just to like cool myself off because it's pretty hot in here, and I have heard these boats have a reputation for being very bumpy and rough and having a lot of people get seasick, so let's hope that doesn't happen. There is a top deck also that I asked if we could go up to, but they said you had to pay a little extra or buy a drink or something, so we're just down at the main area. Sounds like we're on this for about an hour and hoping for the best.
Once we arrived in Nusa Penida, we found out that there was an entrance fee to the island. We paid cash in rupees since it was the fastest, and our driver reimbursed us once we met up. We then drove for an hour to get to Kelingking Beach. Both parking and using the restrooms here will cost 5,000 rupees, so I always recommend having some cash on hand. After a short walk, you'll come to the lookout spot where you'll have a few options. You can fight for a picture spot, pay for a picture spot, or simply enjoy the monkeys. And since none of these options really sounded that great, we decided to sunscreen up and start the hike down at the beach.
All right, we're starting a timer. Let's see how long it takes us.
Nina from the future here. We realized our audio from Kelingking Beach cut off as soon as we got down to the beach. So here we are back at the Ritz-Carlton, and we're gonna recap the experience of going down to Kelingking Beach.
One important thing to note too is if you're looking for that really iconic picture, instead of fighting for positioning up top and throwing elbows with all the other tourists, if you just go down maybe 40 steps or a couple switchbacks, you'll find that iconic spot. You'll even see some of the guides from some of the day tours getting that picture with some of their clients. That is the best spot for photos, and you probably won't have to fight as hard to get it. On the way down, you'll definitely notice the stairs quickly turn into more of a ladder. It's definitely not made for anyone that's afraid of heights.
I would say if you've been rock climbing before and that's like something you do kind of frequently, you'll be totally fine. I did read online that you need to have closed-toed shoes. We just wore our Tevas and we pretty much saw no one in closed-toed shoes. There were lots of Crocs, so I would not say you need closed-toed shoes, but it definitely helps to have something pretty sturdy for that hike on the way down.
The pathway does have really good wooden railings on each side that are really helpful to grab and hold on to and help support you as you're kind of navigating the tricky trail.
All that to say, don't get all the way down there if you're not confident that you can get yourself back up, and definitely leave time if you're trying to make a fast boat or catch a car to get up.
All right,
only took us just over 35 minutes, and majority of that time was waiting for other people. But it's like driving, right? Like there's traffic on hiking trails and you gotta account for that. I would say if a 5-mile hike sounds easy to you, this hike down and hike up is probably no problem. If a 1-mile hike sounds like a hike to you, then I would not recommend coming down here. Right now, it looks like the waves are pretty chill. It is early in the morning and the tide coming out here on the fast boat was pretty chill. So I think we're actually gonna be able to go swimming. That being said, most of the time, the ocean at this beach is very dangerous and I would not recommend it for anybody that's not really comfortable in the water.
It's so fun. But we have to climb all the way up that on the way back.
The water is so blue, bright turquoise.
Gatorade water.
Yeah, ooh, big swell. Ride this one in.
Also pleasantly surprised that once we got down to the beach, there was some shade. I didn't expect to find shade down there, but there was actually quite a few places where we could kind of get refuge from the sun. Even with a lot of people down on the beach, you could kind of find your own little corner. We did see all the elevator construction while we were there. It looks like a company is building an elevator from the top down to the beach.
It's really sad because when we were down at the beach, there were maybe about 100 people, but it's really sad to think that the hundreds and hundreds of people up top are now going to also be able to access the bottom of the beach, making it much less enjoyable for those of you that are willing and brave enough to go down and come back up on the hike.
So if you are planning to visit Nusa Penida before the elevator's done, I highly recommend going down to the beach because it will not be forever that you get to experience it that way.
We also just wanted to take a moment that if you're enjoying this video or finding it valuable in any way, to ask you guys to hit those like and subscribe buttons. It helps support our channel and allows us to keep making content just like this.
So after we had spent a few hours down at the beach, it was time for the hike up, and I expected a lot of crowds going up, which surprisingly, it didn't feel as crowded going up as it did going down.
How's she doing?
Oh, I'm tired. There's no mistake about that.
We've been climbing for like 8 minutes. I think we're actually moving faster than on the way down. It's been about 14 minutes and we just got up to like the big elbow between kind of what separates the stairs and entry-level picture spots and then the kind of climb down to the beach. It's a great resting spot.
It's not a great resting spot. There's no shade.
There's no shade unless you have a sun hoodie like me. Not as bad as I thought it would be, just like what I predicted.
We actually did the up faster than we did the down. Going down is scarier in terms of exposure and feels a little bit more dangerous because that down climbing is more challenging than going up, but going up is much more tiring. I consider myself a pretty strong hiker and I do pretty well with heat, and that was awful. We had water too, like we had a good amount of water. I was so dehydrated, I was so tired, but what makes it so challenging is yes, that it's so steep, but it's also just the heat of the day.
Yeah, we passed a lot of people that were very dehydrated and suffering from heat exhaustion on the way up. So make sure you have plenty of water. Even if you are fit and fully capable of doing it as fast as we did. We actually did it in 24 minutes, 10 minutes faster than it took us on the way down.
What you got there?
The yummiest popsicle I ever had in my life. Probably because I'm sweaty, but it is actually so good. Mango pop.
A little 10 rupiah popsicle. It was cold. Saved the day. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So after we got up, we grabbed some lunch, which was a great way to just kind of cool off and recoup after that whole experience. Then we hopped on the fast boat and began our journey back to our hotel here. And when we left our hotel in the morning, what I said to Jay was, I hope we get back here and I feel like it was worth it. Because in the morning, leaving, knowing I had a 13-hour travel day ahead of me to get here, I was like, there's no way this is gonna be worth it. But I can confidently say, I'm sitting here back at the hotel, glad that we did it.
The best word to describe the experience is that it was an adventure. Overall, we thought going to Kelingking Beach was so worth it, even with the 8-hour trip to and from that beautiful of a beach with such incredible blue water. It's definitely one of the most beautiful spots I've been.
The way that we did this experience is we did it as a day trip from Bali, mostly because we were just short on time. So it took us 4 hours to get from our hotel in Bali to the top of the viewpoint at Kelingking Beach. Then we hiked down, enjoyed the beach for a few hours, and came back up. And the only way to do that as a day trip is to do do a private tour or hire a driver so that we could create our own itinerary. So if you're interested in doing that, we'll leave a link down in the description. We booked through Get Your Guide and love that they coordinated all the details for us. So they arranged the driver to pick us up from our hotel here. They handled fast boat tickets and they set us up with a private driver on Nusa Penida Island so that we could make our own itinerary. Most group tours, especially the ones that will include pickup in Bali and your fast boat tickets, are taking you along a bunch of different viewpoints. So you're in the car a ton and just getting out at all these different viewpoints. We will leave a link to one of those down in the description too if you're interested in seeing more spots on Nusa Penida. But if you really want to spend a lot of time at the beach like we did, you will need to kind of create your own itinerary on that private tour. It is important to know though, Nusa Penida is bigger than you think it is. It looks pretty small in comparison to Bali, but even just to get from Kelingking Beach to Diamond Beach, which are two of the main hotspots to visit on the island, takes well over an hour driving in a car. So it's not super easy to visit a ton of those spots in one day, which is why we just chose to do one. If we had more time, we would absolutely go over to Nusa Penida and spend a few nights on the island. That just seems like the best way to make the journey worthwhile and to see more spots on the island. A lot of people that do that will either hire a private driver for the days that they're out there or just rent a moped.
Another important thing to keep in mind if you're interested in doing this experience is that there is lack of access to any facilities. Any sort of restroom, things like that, you're not only gonna have to pay for, but they're also not very nice. You're gonna be squatting over a hole with no toilet paper, things like that, so keep that in mind.
Lots of dirt road, the boats are hot and crowded, so in general, it's not a luxurious experience and there's not really any way to do it in luxury. And I also noticed the fast boats were completely booked out, all of the time slots that we had, so it is not the type of thing where you can just walk up and buy a ticket right then and there. You should definitely buy it in advance. That wraps up our day trip to Nusa Penida. We are leaving Bali next week, but not leaving Indonesia altogether. We are flying just an hour away to the island of Flores to visit a place that has been on my bucket list since I was 11 years old. I think it's the first pin I ever pinned on Pinterest. We are going to Komodo National Park. So we'll catch up with you next week. If you liked this video or found it valuable in any way, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we'll catch you next time for another best day ever.
Oh, smile, you're happy.
I just my ankle, guys. The water feels amazing. Monkey on the roof.
Oh, you okay? Oh my goodness. Look at all these guys.
I need you.